Today we're in Numbers 3, verse 5. But let's pray to get started. Dear Heavenly Father, as always, we pray that you would just teach us. Teach us about you. Help us be closer to you. We pray blessings on this lesson and pray it would be that we would use it in our lives and to witness to others and show your love through us. And Lord, we pray this in your holy name. Amen. Okay. So there's going to be sections in here where we do like we did last week because there's more of the census, only this time the Levites. So we won't read all those verses because they're the same thing over and over. We'll just talk about the numbers. So let's look at verses 5 through 10. Olga, are you?
Oh, yes. Would you like to hear my accent?
I do. I do like to hear your accent.
And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Bring the tribe of Levi near and present them before Aaron, the priest, that they may serve him. And they shall attend to his needs and the needs of the whole congregation before the tabernacle of meeting, to do the work of the tabernacle. Also they shall attend to all the furnishing of the tabernacle of meeting, and to do needs of the children of Israel, to do the work of the tabernacle. And you shall give the Levites to Aaron and his sons. They are given entirely to him from among the children of Israel. So you shall appoint Aaron and his sons, and they shall attend their priesthood. But the outsider who comes near shall be put to death."
Okay. So the Levites, I always thought of them as priests, but they're not really priests. Just Aaron's family are the priests, but they're kind of like the laymen that work in the church. They're deacons and elders, those kind of things. They take care of things. They take care of a lot of things because they're a big tribe. And at this point, Aaron and his family are 3. So there's a lot of work to be done.
Are 3?
Yeah, Aaron and his 2 sons right now. Yeah. They'll grow in number as they have babies, but right now 3 of them. So they need help. So the entire tribe of Levi takes care of Aaron's family's needs, and the sanctuary needs. And they serve the congregation, and then they serve the tabernacle themselves. So they have a lot of responsibility. Good thing there's a lot of them. But they have another really important job. They teach the people about God. So, and then during the reign of King David, they're the musicians. They're the choir. So they have lots of things they do. But however they served, they were serving God. Even if they did just a little, what people would think of as a little menial task, they were serving God. It's the same way for us. Whatever we're doing, we serve God. According to this commentator named Wenham, assist him or attend to his needs is really to keep guard. They were the bodyguards too. They were in charge. No one was supposed to come near the tabernacle or later the temple. No one except Aaron and his sons, and the Levites were the bodyguards. And they were really strict bodyguards. You came near, you died. Probably a big deterrent. Yeah. So they were living guardians of the temple and the tabernacle. The Mesopotamians and the Egyptians, they built big stone guardians. Like, that's going to keep anyone away. So anyone that was a non-Levite stay away. Verses 11 through 13.
And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Behold, I have taken the Levites from among the people of Israel, instead of every firstborn who opens the womb among the people of Israel. The Levites shall be mine, for all the firstborn are mine. On the day that I struck down all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, I consecrated for my own all the firstborn in Israel, both of man and of beast. They shall be mine. I am the Lord.
Okay, so if you remember what we studied early in Deuteronomy, the firstborn was given to serve God. They were doing what the Levites are doing now before there was the tabernacle. But now we have the Levites. And so the Levites take the place of the firstborn. So you still had to pay a sacrifice fee, whatever, for your firstborn child, but they didn't have to do the work. You still paid it. So, a reminder, Levi was the firstborn of Jacob. He was one, not the firstborn. He was one of the sons of Jacob. Mm-hmm. He wasn't the firstborn. But they were chosen because they stood with Moses at the golden calf incident. So they were chosen as the priest assistant tribe. They were set apart, which is another way of saying they were sanctified or made holy. So this section ends with, I am the Lord. Every time it ends with, I am the Lord, it adds authority and weight to that section. It says, it's like God signing off on this. Okay, so here's something with names in it. They don't look too hard. So verses 14 through 20.
Not by Janice.
Yeah. And not by Janice, yeah.
Or you want me to read the names?
Just struggle through.
The Lord said to Moses in the desert of Sinai, Count the Levites by their families and clans. Count every male a month old or more. So Moses counted them, and he was commanded, as he was commanded by the word of the Lord. These were the names of the sons of Levi: Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. These were the names of the Gershonite clans: Libni and Shimei. The Kothanite clans: Amram, Izhar, Hebron, and Uzziel. The Meronite clans: Mahali and Mushi. These were the Levite clans according to their families.
Good job. And just as a note, anytime I hear someone that speaks Hebrew say these names, it's nowhere close to what we're saying anyways. So whatever way we say it, yeah, it's going to work out. Okay, so remember the last census, the Levites were not part of that. Do you remember what age they were looking at the last census? Yeah, they were looking for the fighting men. This time they're looking at babies. That's because they're not being looked at to fight in the army. They are not going to be warriors. They're protecting the tabernacle. So the Levite clan was split into 3 groups, subgroups, based on Levi's sons. So you got Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. And each group is assigned basic tasks. And then they're assigned where to camp in the camp. Again, God just organizes this down to perfection. They are not a confused mob moving around. Okay, Elaine, verses 21 through 26.
From Gershon came the family of the Libnites and the family of the Shemites. These were the families of the Gershonites, those who were numbered according to the number of all the males from a month old and above. Of those who were numbered, there were 7,500. The families of the Gershonites were to camp behind the tabernacle westward, and the leader of the father's house of the Gershonites was Eliphaz, the son of Lael. The duties of the children of Gershon in the tabernacle of meeting included the tabernacle, the tent with its covering, the screen for the door of the tabernacle of meeting, the screen for the door of the court, the hangings of the court which are around the tabernacle, and the altar and their cords, according to all the work relating to them.
Okay, so first off, they camped to the west on the back side of the tabernacle. I'm glad yours said that on the back end. They are between the tribe of Ephraim and the tabernacle. So if Ephraim tries to come through, they're in the way. And their job is to take care of the skins that cover the tabernacle. All those cloths and otter skins or whatever kind of, there's different interpretations on what kind of skin, but they were in charge of putting them up and taking them down and transporting them and setting up and taking down over and over and over again. Now, even though it says there were 7,500 of them, how many of them were babies and couldn't carry a thing? So, but that's still a lot of guys to carry this stuff. It doesn't say whether there's a rotation or if everybody, how they did that, but they're in charge of making sure it's done. So let's look at Kohath, and that's verses 27 through 32. And that's you, Betty.
Kohath was the family of Amorite,
Yeah.
Amorites.
Amorites.
The family of the Ishites. The family of the Hebronites. And the family of the
Yeah, that one's tough.
Osanites.
Yeah.
These were the families of the Kohathites. And the number of every male from a month old and upward, there were 8,600 performing the duties of the sanctuary. The families of the sons of Kohath were to camp on the southward side of the tabernacle, and the leader of the fathers' households of the Kohathite families were Elizaphan, the son of Uziel. Now their duties involved the ark, the table, the lampstand, the altars, and the utensils of the sanctuary with which they minister, and the screen and all the service concerning them. And Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, was the chief of the leaders of Levi, and had the oversight of those who performed the duties of the sanctuary.
Okay. So they're on the south side between Reuben and the tabernacle. What's interesting is this would be the tribe that, or the part of the tribe that Moses and Aaron would be associated with. They were descended from Amram. So they're Kohathites. Maybe that's why that group was chosen. They get to carry the really precious stuff, the ark and all the other furniture. So that was a pretty honored position to do. And it shows that also that Eleazar, who is one of Aaron's sons, he's in charge of overseeing all this, because they needed a priest to oversee the really, really, really important things. So, and we're going to get more details on how they got all this stuff ready.
So I'm going to ask you, Kohath, aren't they those people who rebel against Moses? Oh.
That's Moses' family.
And then, and
Yeah.
then grounds follow them.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, that's that group. Yeah. And so even sadder that it's their family. Yeah, bad family. What can you do with them? Okay, verse 33 through 37.
From Merari came the family of Mahlites and the family of the Mushites. These were the families of Merari. And those who were numbered according to the number of all the males from a month old and above were 6,200. The leader of the father's house of the families of Merari was Zuriel, the son of Abihail. These were to camp on the north side of the tabernacle. And the appointed duty of the children of Merari included the boards of the tabernacle, its bars, its pillars, its sockets, its utensils, all the work relating to them, and the pillars of the court all around with their sockets, their pegs, and their cords. Moreover, those who were to camp before the tabernacle, am I still in the right place? Keep going, okay. Moreover, those who were camped before the tabernacle on the east, before the tabernacle of meeting, were Moses, Aaron, and his sons, keeping charge of the sanctuary to meet the needs of the children of Israel. But the outsider who came near was to be put to death.
Okay, so stop there. Okay, so Merari camped on the north side between Dan and the tabernacle, and that their responsibility is all the framework, all the pillars, the boards, and the rest. They got heavy stuff. And then Aaron and Moses and their family camp on the east side by the door to the tabernacle, closest to the entrance. So Moses and Aaron and their families, they're not a whole large group like all these other groups, but they're guarding the most important part, the doorway. So you could imagine if they ran into problems, some of the other Levites would come running around. So it's a most honored location to their culture. The east was the area of the rising sun. It was most honored of all the directions. When Solomon later builds the temple, he will have the temple door facing east. Everything always east. So this is such an organized system that God had them do. It was too much work for one family to do. God made them dependent on one another. They had to work together to get this done. And they did it over and over and over again, 40 years worth of doing this. So again, the Levites were not only responsible for all this, they were responsible to meet the needs of the people, primarily their spiritual needs, but even beyond that, again, kind of like deacons. So they needed to be servants, and they needed to be sympathetic, but they also needed to be strong, because they needed to be willing to kill whoever tried to come near the tabernacle. And these jobs were only to be done by Levites. You couldn't be from the tribe of Dan and aspire to be a Levite. Nope, wasn't going to happen. It was exclusive. It was not open to anybody else.
And the women had no responsibility
Not-
towards the temple at all, just their own family.
They had plenty to do, but yeah. But yeah, nope, nothing as far as the
So this
tabernacle.
count is only men and boys.
Yeah, these are from 1 year old on up. So the old
Actually, a month.
1 month old.
1 month. Oh yeah, 1 month old. So the Old Testament kind of gives a sense of exclusion, where the New Testament is all about inclusion. So the total of 22,000 men doesn't match up when you add the numbers from verses 22, 28, and 34, which comes to 22,300. Not sure why it doesn't match. Maybe they were rounding off, but it's not a mistake in the Bible. There's something cultural about it, or some reason for it. We just don't know what it is. Okay, so Bethany, our guest, I have a huge section for you, 39 through 51.
Is that 39?
Yep.
All those listed among the Levites whom Moses and Aaron listed at the commandment of the Lord by clans, all the males a month old and upward were 22,000. And the Lord said to Moses, list all of the firstborn males of the people of Israel from a month old and upward, taking the number of their names. And you shall take the Levites for me. I am the Lord. Instead of all the firstborn among the people of Israel and the cattle of the Levites, instead of all the firstborn among the cattle of the people of Israel, so Moses listed all the firstborn among the people of Israel as the Lord commanded him. And all the firstborn males according to the number of names from a month old and upward as listed were 22,273. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, take the Levites instead of all of the firstborn among the people of Israel, and the cattle of the Levites instead of their cattle. And the Levites shall be mine. I am the Lord. And the redemption price for the 273 of the firstborn of the people of Israel, over and above the number of the male Levites, you shall take 5 shekels per head, and shall take them according to the shekel of the sanctuary, the shekel of 20. And give the money to Aaron and his sons as the redemption price for those who are over. So Moses took the redemption money from those who were above. So Moses took the redemption money from those who were over and above those redeemed by the Levites. From the firstborn of the people of Israel, he took the money 1,365 shekels by the shekel of the sanctuary. And Moses gave the redemption money to Aaron and his sons according to the word of the Lord, as the Lord commanded Moses.
Okay, so this is all about the exchange of the firstborn son for the Levites. And it was supposed to be 1 for 1. The numbers didn't quite match. There's 273 extra that are from all the other tribes. Now, this doesn't, the number 22,273 doesn't seem like a big enough number if you're counting all the firstborn from all those tribes. So what they think it meant is any child that was born after they left Egypt. So that would make more sense, but it doesn't say. But so there's an extra 273 non-Levites that have to be accounted for. So they assigned a value of money, 5 shekels, and remember, a shekel was about a month's wage. So 5 shekels is a good amount of money. And the money was given to the tabernacle. So the total was 1,365 shekels, which would be worth about 7,000 today. It was called redemption money. Now, how they chose which 273 had to pay, I don't know if everybody kind of contributed. They said, okay, you count, but you're one of the 273, you have to pay. It doesn't say. They worked it out somehow. I like to think they took a community offering and took care of it. I don't know, but it doesn't say. Okay, so Numbers chapter 4 is more about the duties of the Levites, giving more details about transporting everything. So again, they're separated by the tribes of Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. So verses 1 through 3.
1 through 8.
3.
The Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron. Among the Levites, take a census of the Kohathites by their clans and their ancestral houses. Men from 30 years old to 50 years old. Everyone who is qualified to do work at the tent of the meeting.
Okay, that's it. Okay, so another count. They are counting everybody, and when they're counting, we saw in the last section, they're making a list of every name. They're not just taking numbers. They're
Names.
yeah, they're taking names. God is interested in the individual, so not just numbers. So another count. You'd think, okay, they had to list all the names before. If they put the ages, they didn't have to count again. But I don't. So they count again, this time 30 to 50 years old. Those were thought to be the prime of a man's life in terms of wisdom and physical strength. So God wanted the best. Later, when the Israelites are captured and taken to Babylon and come back, there are not enough Levites, so they lower the age to 20. But right now is 30 to 50. In chapter 8, we're going to see that the Levites entered service at age 25, so there's a 5-year gap here. It's thought that that 5 years was a training period for them. And they were interns for 5 years. Adam Clark uses this set of verses to say pastors should retire at 50 years old. There's nothing that ties that together. Maybe there would be if they had to pick up and move their church every time God said move, pick up and let's go. But yeah, that didn't make sense. Okay, Vicki, we've got another long section, but no names in it. Okay, verse 4 through 14.
The service of the Kohath at the tent of meeting concerns the most holy objects. Whenever the camp is about to move on, Aaron and his sons are to go in, take down the screening veil, cover the ark of the testimony with it. They are to place over this a covering made of manatee skin, spread a solid blue cloth on top, and insert its poles. They are to spread a blue cloth over the table of the presence and place the plates and cups on it, as well as the bowls and pitchers for the drink offering. The regular bread offering is to be on it. They are to spread a scarlet cloth over them, cover them with a covering made of manatee skin, and insert the poles in the table. They are to take a blue cloth and cover the lampshade used for light with its lamps, snuffers, and fire pans, as well as its jars of oil by which they service it. Then they must place it with all the utensils inside a covering made of manatee skin and put them on the carrying frame. They are to spread a blue cloth over the gold altar, cover it with a covering made of manatee skin, and insert its poles. They are to take all the serving utensils they use in the sanctuary, place them in a blue cloth, cover them with a covering made of manatee skin, and put them on a carrying frame. They are to remove the ashes from the bronze altar, spread a purple cloth over it, and place all the equipment on it that they use in serving: the fire pans, meat forks, shovels, and basins, all the equipment of the altar. They are to spread a covering made of manatee skin over it and insert its poles.
Okay, that's it. Okay, so have you ever wondered if all these people are not supposed to be touching the ark, how they get it all ready? Well, Aaron and his sons go and cover everything up. It's covered in layers of stuff. And it's interesting, yours says manatee skin, mine says goat skin. The word used for the skin, it could be manatee, it could be otter, it could be goat. your badger.
Badger.
Yeah, the word,
Like a lot of things.
you would think they would have a clear word, but it could mean any one of those animals.
What is
Cover a whole
that?
lot more. But I was thinking about there's a VeggieTales song, Manatee.
Uh-huh.
What version were you reading from? Well, I was just thinking if a child read that, you know, the song is "Everyone Wants a Manatee," and then you're reading this. They're using their skins.
The Holman
Yeah.
Christian Standard Bible.
Okay,
Holman.
so that's what the kids will be reading. From.
Yeah.
In mine says badger skin. What
Yeah.
is badger?
Mine just says
A badger is kind of like,
Bird.
no, it's a mammal. It's a big rodent.
Like a raccoon.
Yeah, kind of like a raccoon.
Yeah, they're mean.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, you wouldn't feel so bad about using their skins.
You just have to take a lot.
Yeah, it would take a lot.
I understand.
Okay, have you ever seen pictures or movies of the Exodus where you see the ark being carried out in all its glory? No. It was so covered up. And they stuck poles in it. It wasn't until everything's covered up that the Levites could touch it because it's so covered up. You almost have to wonder if Aaron himself was responsible for this because he's the only one that's supposed to go in to the Holy of Holies and only one day a year. So this is an exception just while they're traveling because after that, one day a year. So when God was in residence, the cloud lived over that tabernacle, and when it was time to leave, the cloud would lift, and then it was safe for the priests, the Levites, to enter after the priests had covered everything. So the ark is not supposed to be touched by human hands at all. So they cover it, put poles in it, and they carry it by those poles. The pole thing is also used for the 2 altars and the table of showbread. So an interesting thing about the table of showbread, they leave the bread on it, carry it with the bread on it. They don't pack the bread up separately. It could be a symbol that God never leaves them, even while they're traveling. So the ark had 3 layers, the table had 3 layers of stuff wrapped around it. Everything else only gets 2 layers. So it also protects it from the hot desert sun because you're not going to be traveling in shade. So if you notice, the different things are wrapped in different colored cloths. The ark is in blue. It's the only thing in blue. So if you were traveling and you saw the blue thing, you know that's the ark. No one else, no confusing it. No one else coming near that thing. Now there's a piece of furniture missing. The washstand. But there's no explanation on why it doesn't. Did they not have to cover the washstand, or it doesn't say?
Well, wasn't the washstand technically outside of the temple itself? In the
But so
courtyard?
was one of the altars, the altar that they actually burned things on. So
But isn't this talking about the altar that's inside? That's just for
both
incense?
altars, they covered both altars in here. So yeah, that's the only piece of furniture missing. Don't know why. They had to transport it because they wouldn't make it new every time. Okay, so verses 15 through 20. Is that-
And when Aaron and his sons have finished covering the sanctuary and all the furnishings of the sanctuary, when the camp is set to go, then the sons of Kohath shall come to carry them, but they shall not touch the holy thing, lest they die. These are the things in the tabernacle of meeting, which the sons of Kohath are to carry. The appointed duty of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, and the priest is oil for the light, the sweet incense, the daily grain offering, the anointing of oil, oversight of the tabernacle, of all that is in it, with the sanctuary and its furnishings. Then the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, do not cut off the tribe of the families of the
Yeah,
part,
that.
from among the Levites. But do this in regard to them, that they may live and not die when they approach the most holy things. Aaron and his sons shall go in and appoint each of them to his service and his task. But they shall not go in to watch while the holy things are being covered, lest they die.
Okay, so only the Aaronites could touch these things. But once they were covered, turned it over to the Kohathites to carry. So Eleazar seems to be assigned to carry certain items. So, or there, some feel that he was assigned the task of wrapping these specific items. But so the thing, this not being destroyed thing, as Olga said, the Kohathites, there's going to be a good group of them destroyed later. So that's, but they were important because they were carrying the holy things. They're not going to be destroyed till they reach the promised land, but there's still some transporting. So probably not all of them.
But they were a tribe of they were part of the Levites.
They were, Kohath was one of the sons of Levi. So they split Levi into 3 groups with 3 responsibilities. And Kohath gets the holy responsibility of carrying.
Yet they couldn't, yet they had a lot of restrictions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Seems like they weren't well liked. I mean, it just seems like they put restrictions on them. They weren't as respected maybe as much or something.
I don't know.
Huh.
Not sure.
Interesting.
Restrictions, what do you mean?
Yeah.
What kind of restrictions were put on them?
It's what?
What did you mean by, what restrictions were put on them that were different from anybody
Well, I mean
else?
that they couldn't, I guess because when they went into the temple, they couldn't, not, the other ones couldn't see it either.
Well, the other ones couldn't even
But they never
couldn't even
got
come
that
in there.
far.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
It
they're
seemed like
more.
they were more restricted, but it was that the other ones didn't get that.
Yeah, they had more. They were actually more honored than the others because they got to carry the cool stuff. Everybody else carrying wood and cloth.
And
But
the covering just kind of reminds us of God's protection. I mean, the act of doing all of that Aaron and his sons had to do was protection for the Kohathites.
Right.
Not really restriction. It was,
Right.
this is my way of protecting you, because you touch it, you die.
yeah. Yeah, so when he's talking about don't let them be destroyed, he's talking about don't let them touch things or they're going to die right there. We need them. Yeah.
He was serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and we'll see examples later.
More serious for them, and that's why.
And we're going to see an example way years from now, with David was someone that touched the ark. Yeah, he died right away, even though he seemed like he was being a good guy.
Yeah.
He
That
died.
always confused me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Means what it says.
Yeah.
Yes, it does, exactly.
Don't touch it. Well,
End of the
Right.
David,
It's starting to fall.
when David is carrying the ark to Jerusalem, he's not following the rules. Yeah, it's not covered. It's not. Yeah. Yes, and Uzziah touches it to keep it from falling,
No.
and dies instantly.
No. David didn't follow all that.
Yeah, he didn't cover it. He didn't. Yeah, he didn't. I think they had it on a cart. They were supposed to be carried by Levites. He wasn't following the rules, so it's kind of David's fault that that poor Uzzah died.
I said, that God told them what to do, and they didn't do it.
Yeah,
They were so excited that they forget the rules.
they were doing a good thing in a bad way. Yeah.
The wrong way, yeah.
In verse 20, where it talks about not go in to look for a moment, the idiom refers to swallowing. The idea is as quick as it takes to swallow is all the time it would need to look and be killed. Kind of like if you ever seen Raiders of the Lost Ark, and they look, that's the idea. So Okay. Bonnie, you get a short one. 21 and 23 through 23.
Then the Lord said to Moses, saying, Also take a census of the sons of Gershon by their father's house, by their families. From 30 years old and above, even to 50 years old, you shall number them, all who enter to perform the service, to do the work in the tabernacle of meeting.
Okay, so to do service, or yours may say to perform the service, there's a Hebrew idiom that it says to war the warfare. So they are to get girded up, ready to do their job. So you may think their job was kind of mundane. They're carrying cloth, but it was important. The veil was what kept people from seeing the Holy of Holies. And so that was an important piece of cloth. So they were soldiers for God, doing their job. Verses 24 through 28.
This is the service of the Gershonite clans as they work and carry burdens. They are to carry the curtains of the tabernacle, the tent of meeting, its covering, and the outer coverings of hides of sea cows, the curtains for the entrance to the tent of meeting, the curtains of the courtyard surrounding the tabernacle and altar, the curtain for the entrance, the ropes, and all the equipment used in its service. The Gershonites are to do all that needs to be done with these things. All their service, whether carrying or doing other work, is to be done under the direction of Aaron and his sons. You shall assign to them as their responsibility all they are to carry. This is the service of the Gershonite clans at the tent of meeting. Their duties are to be under direction of Ithamar, son of Aaron, the priest.
Okay, so they carry the tabernacle coverings, have to take them all down, the cords, the walls, the cloth walls, and they're overseen by another son of Aaron, Ithamar. So, not a lot of things here in this section. So I am going to read about Merari, verses 29 through 33. As for the sons of Merari, you shall list them by their clans and their fathers' houses. From 30 years old up to 50 years old, you shall list them. Everyone who can come on duty to do the service of the tent of meeting. And this is what they are charged to carry. As the whole of their service in the tent of meeting, the frames of the tabernacle with its bars, pillars, and bases, and the pillars around the court with their bases, pegs, and cords, with all their equipment and all their accessories. And you shall list by name the objects they are required to carry. This is the service of the clans of the sons of Merari, and the whole of their service in the tent of meeting under the direction of Ithamar, the son of Aaron the priest. So Ithamar gets two things to overlook. Now this is the heavy labor stuff. This is the framework. They think that this weighed about 19,000 pounds. We're going to see in chapter 7 that they were given a few carts to help carry this. They're given 4 carts. And by the way, the Gershonites are given 2 carts. The Kohathites get no carts. They have to hand carry with the holy items. So there's another thing where David did wrong. It wasn't supposed to be done on carts. So specific men were assigned to carry specific things, and it was recorded. There were so many little pieces. They couldn't afford for a little piece to get lost. So if you were assigned to carry this peg, you made sure that peg got through. So that when you
baggies to put everything in.
Yeah. So when they would get to the spot, everyone had their piece. You would think they probably had an organized system of setting it up. Okay, bring your piece now, or I don't know. So again,
They were numbered.
yep.
5, 4, goes to 3.
Sorry. Would the director or overseer, could they still be between the ages of 30 and 50, or could they be over 50?
The director of things. So they were the priests. So it doesn't say. They had to be between, I forgot what the priest stages are, because they do have ages for, well, they don't have, the high priest is a high priest till he dies.
So that age limit doesn't apply to them.
No. And of course, they're a much smaller group right now, 3. But, yeah, but they are all going to be dead by the time they get to the promised land. So it's got to be the grandsons as the high priest by that time. So yeah, so those names would obviously change as they're traveling. Okay, now this is the section where we're going to go through this fairly fast because it's a formula. So I'll read the first section and then we'll just go by the group and talk about their numbers. So verse 34, and Moses and Aaron and the chiefs of the congregation listed the sons of the Kohathites by their clans and their fathers' houses, from 30 years old up to 50 years old, everyone who could come on duty for service in the tent of the meeting. And those listed by clans were 2,750. This was the list of the clans of the Kohathites, all who served in the tent of the meeting, whom Moses and Aaron listed according to the commandment of the Lord by Moses. So the Kohathites, 2,750 men that were qualified to carry all the holy equipment. Can't imagine 2,750 of them doing it at the same time, because this wasn't that much. So they must have had an organized way to decide who was doing what. Gershon, what's the number for Gershon?
2630.
2630. And then Merari.
3,200.
Okay, and then I'll finish up this verse 46. And all those who were listed of the Levites, whom Moses and Aaron and the chiefs of Israel listed by their clans and their fathers' houses, from 30 years old up to 50 years old, everyone who could come to do the service of ministry and the service of bearing burdens in the tent of meeting, those listed were 8,580. So that's all the Levites between 30 and 50 years old, fit for service. So the Merarites had the smallest number of males over 1 month old. But more than half of them were between 30 and 50 years old. That's a higher proportion than the other 2 tribes. God knew they are the ones with the hardest work to do. So 8,580 men did all this carrying. Can you imagine? Okay, verse 49. Yeah, the last verse of the chapter.
According to the commandments of the Lord, they were numbered by the hand of Moses, each according to his service and according to his task. Thus they were numbered by him as the Lord commanded Moses.
Okay, so they all had an important role to play. No one family could do all the work, so again, God made them dependent on each other to get it done. So it's the same for us today. God gives us work to do, but we're dependent on each other to get it done. No one's job is more important than the other, but we need to do it. It's kind of like the pastor talked about last week. We all have our lanes, and we need to stay in our lanes, but we need to work together to get to the finish line. We can cause a big mess when we try to do things that we aren't called to do. And in the meantime, you might be keeping someone else from doing that job. So, and I know me when I've gotten into things, because I'm one of those people that if I see something that needs to be done, other than working with children, because that's definitely not my lane. I usually try to take over, and then I step back and think, oh, God has somebody for this. I usually find myself pretty miserable doing a job that I'm not called to do. So again, we see God is a God of such organization. Their government is called a theocracy, a government where God is the leader. We may think our country started as a theocracy. It really didn't. I mean, it honored God, and our founding fathers looked to God, but it wasn't a true theocracy where God did the ruling. Here God steps right in and says how to do things. God tells Moses and Aaron what to do and tells the people. So as far as I know, the only really true theocracy that's ever occurred. Rather than get into Numbers 5, I think we just may end a little early. So start in a whole new chapter next time. So I'm going to shut off the video